This is the exact system that allows you to turn even the coldest leads into high-value buyers in 48 hours without building out a complicated funnel, without having a large audience, and without spending hours creating more content. All using this simple clarity pre-selling system. Just to show you how effective this system is, last month I used this exact process to convert brand new to me leads into 40K cash collected in just 72 hours, and all with dream clients. And this system works because it reverses the typical marketing process and goes against 90% of what most people teach. So why is it so effective? Now, instead of building an entire marketing system that puts all of the pressure on you or your team selling your leads, we instead build a pre-selling system that focuses on getting your leads to sell themselves. And the key to this is knowing how to create a pre-selling system that doesn't overwhelm buyers or leave them guessing, like typical 90-minute webinars, 5-day challenges, or short 4-minute VSLs that only leave people with either too much information or too little information to make a decision. Instead, we focus on a clarity pre-selling system that speaks to your active buyers by giving them the right information that activates their natural buying triggers so that they feel so confident, so eager that saying yes feels like the only and obvious choice. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to influence buying decisions in a way that feels so natural, so effortless, and so pressure-free that you start to get easy yeses. Now, hey, and welcome back to the Business Real Talk. I'm so excited to have you here today. If you haven't already, make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you see the most up-to-date content that we share weekly. Now, let's get real. You want buyers who already trust your expertise and are ready to move forward without hesitation, without price objections, without spending months in order to get there. And you want to be able to spend more time delivering results and less time convincing people to buy. And ultimately, you want a business that's going to feel good to run, not one that drains you. And guess what? Your buyers want the same thing. They're tired of feeling pressured or pushed into making decisions. They want a buying experience that makes it crystal clear that this is exactly what they need. No hesitation, no months to get there, just easy and simple yeses. Yet this is where most business owners go wrong. They try to fix this problem by adding more marketing, more posts, more content, more launches, hoping something finally clicks for their buyers. Or they create more offers, thinking people aren't saying yes because they need a lower price, another package, or a different option. Or they pile on the proof, more testimonials, more case studies, more results, hoping that if people could see enough success, they'll finally buy. But all of these have the same fundamental flaw. They focus on convincing instead of more clarity. And here's the issue. Convincing isn't about giving one more piece of information. It's about piling on more and more details, hoping something lands. But that only creates decision fatigue for your buyer. Now, every new detail, every extra offer, every attempt to handle objections adds complexity, and complexity creates confusion. So when buyers feel confused, they pause instead of purchasing because more equals overwhelm and overwhelm equals no decision. That's why people stall, not because they're not interested, but because the decision feels hard. Because your buyer is left to sift through all the details and figure out what matters instead of simply feeling crystal clear about why your offer is the right fit. And you've probably seen this before. If you've ever had a client who has this of course moment in a conversation where suddenly it feels like they get it. They go from the space of feeling hesitant in 1 second, and the next second they're saying, oh my gosh, this makes total sense, let's do it. What changed? Not more information, not a longer sales pitch, not more pressure, a shift in clarity. And you might have also seen it where you understand how clarity creates instant decisions. Think about the last time that you bought without overthinking. You weren't weighing 1,000 options. You weren't debating for days. It was clear and you just said yes because the decision felt obvious. So I want you to compare that to a time that you were given too many options or you had too many questions that were left unanswered. You either agonized over the decision forever and it felt like a frustrating process, or worse, worse, the decision was so hard, you decided to make no decision at all. Now, there's a famous study on jam sales that perfectly illustrates how too much choice can lead to decision paralysis. In the study, researchers set up a booth offering samples of jam inside of a grocery store. Now, they presented shoppers with either a small selection of 6 jams or a larger selection of 24 jams. Now, while the larger selection caught more attention, the results were surprising. When there were 24 jam options, only 3% of shoppers actually made a purchase. But when there were 6 options, 30% of buyers bought something. Because it's simple. More isn't better. When the brain has to sort through too much, it chooses nothing because your buyer's brains can't handle the cognitive overload. So instead of making a decision, they hesitate, or worse, they walk away. This is exactly what happens when your potential clients are faced with too much information or too many options or too many details that they feel like they have to process before even trying to make a decision. And the result is they end up not buying. So I want you to think about it this way. If right now your offer is making people have to question why it's right for them, you're creating gaps, you're creating questions, you're creating effort that shouldn't be there. What you want to do instead is remove the work to create clarity. So saying yes feels almost automatic. So now that we understand that clarity equals easy and almost automatic sales, I need you to understand the next biggest barrier that most businesses create. What they do is they make clarity hard to access. So they ask potential clients to jump through too many hoops just to get the necessary clarity where that decision feels automatic. So you're asking your clients to do things like sitting through an hour-long sales call just to see if it's a fit, or spending months consuming content inside your funnel just in hopes that they finally get it and put all the pieces together. Or worse, you're asking them to pay first just to understand the full value of what you do. No wonder it's so hard to hear yes. You've made saying yes to you feel like a full-time job for your buyers. So here's the truth. Clarity needs to come before the call, before the paywall, before they have to invest extra time and effort. Decisions aren't made in the moment, they're made long before that. So by the time you're presenting an offer in front of your buyers, their brain has already decided that this is what I need, or I'm not sure yet. And if they aren't sure yet, the sale's going to become hard. So when clarity comes first, the decision is easy. Think about it this way. The reason traditional marketing tools like webinars, short VSLs, and masterclasses have low conversion rates is because they ask people to do too much at once. You're dumping loads of information on them, you're asking them to process it instantly, and you're expecting them to make a decision before they've had time to internalize it. But the human brain hates uncertainty. And when there's a gap in understanding, the brain is wired to fill it. And if you don't fill it first, they'll fill it on their own with assumptions, with doubts, with resistance. That's why pre-selling works. It creates a process that compounds clarity. It eliminates information overload by focusing only on what matters. That's why we call it clarity pre-selling. So think of it this way. Imagine that you're driving on a foggy road at night and the fog is clouding your view. It's making it difficult for you to see the road ahead. So naturally, your first instinct might be to turn on your high beams, to turn on your dashboard lights, and maybe even try and use your phone flashlight. But instead of helping you, those extra lights just create more glare, more reflections, making it even harder for you to see clearly. See, the real problem wasn't a lack of light, it was the fog itself. And this is exactly what happens when you add more information without removing the noise. Your potential clients don't need more details, they need clarity. They need you to clear the fog so they can see the road and the right decision clearly ahead. So clarity pre-selling focuses on you giving them the relevant pieces that allow their brain to process and visualize it for themselves, feeding their brain with everything it needs to reach the decision all by itself. And when you pre-sell the right way, your offer is just the logical next step, not something that they need to be convinced of, not something that they need to be pushed into, just an obvious yes. And there's a formula behind having a pre-selling system that creates clarity and drives decisions. And it's this: buying momentum plus disruptive insight equals clarity pre-selling. So let's break it down, starting with buying momentum. A buyer in motion stays in motion. We understand that. And your job is to meet them where they are in their decision-making process so that you can just simply guide them forward. So if you interrupt their natural momentum with more complexity, they stall. We know this, right? So let me give you an example of buying momentum in action. Imagine that someone is looking to purchase a new laptop and they've been researching for a few days, comparing brands, reading reviews, watching videos on YouTube. YouTube, their momentum is building as they move closer to making a choice. However, instead of guiding them clearly towards the decision, most laptop brands bombard them with generic ads, complex specifications, and features that they don't actually care about. They get distracted by comparisons and overwhelming choices. So instead, the right move is to meet them in their motion, provide clear, concise information that addresses their current thoughts and concerns. So instead of generic information, you meet them in their buying momentum by saying, are you looking for something light for travel or a powerhouse for gaming? By focusing only on what matters to them at that point in the decision-making process, you clear the clutter and make the decision easier. So next, let's talk about disruptive insights. Now, buyers are already trying to solve their problem, but what's happening for them right now is they feel stuck because something just isn't clicking. Now, disruptive insight gives them that missing piece, that aha moment that unlocks their decision, and it relieves the weight of indecision, the weight of hesitation, and the weight of overwhelm. So let me give you an example of disruptive insights and actions. Now, let's say right now someone is studying for a big exam and they're struggling to remember all the material. We've all been there, we understand. They assume that the issue is that they just need to study longer, reread their notes more times. So they spend hours reading textbooks, highlighting everything, reviewing their notes over and over again. But when they try to sit down and recall that information later, they start to blank out. The reason you're struggling to remember isn't because you haven't studied enough. It's because passive reading doesn't create strong memory recall. Your brain needs active retrieval, like teaching the material, using flashcards, or practice testing to actually retain the information. See, this type of disruptive insight doesn't just distract them from what they're doing, it makes it clear. It gives their brain proof why what they've been doing, what they've been working so hard at hasn't worked, and allows them to remove the weight of why they're not getting to the success that they want. It's only when they have that clarity and proof that their brain can actually let go of all of that existing information, that decision fatigue, so that they now have space to receive a new way of thinking. So let's put all the pieces together with a simple walkthrough or checklist of what our pre-selling system needs to include. Number one, you anticipate their highest value desire. So I want you to think about what is the most important thing for them right now, the thing that they can't stop thinking about. So let's say that you're a weight loss coach and you're working with women. Their desire isn't to get a 20-day meal plan. Instead, it's how to learn to eat their favorite foods and still lose weight. So I want you to really understand and anticipate the highest value desire in your market right now. Now, the second step is acknowledging how they think they're going to achieve that. So I want you to think about, what do they currently believe is the road to achieving that desire? So again, using our weight loss example, we might say that they believe that spending hours in the gym and eating chicken and rice for every meal and secretly hating their life is what they currently acknowledge as the pathway to achieving their results, okay? The next piece is showing them the gap. So what's missing? Why do they have this invisible barrier that's holding them back from the success they want? So I want you to think about it this way. An example using our weight loss coach would be the combination of hardcore workouts and unsavory meals creates depletion in your body. And when your body is depleted, it goes into stress mode, storing fat and increasing cortisol. No wonder it's been so hard to lose weight. You'll see in just that single statement, we're able to create massive clarity by removing the thing that they think they need to be doing in order to create that result, giving their brain proof why that isn't working. So now we've created an even playing field, a clean slate, so that we can create this new shift in belief that allows us to now plug in our solution as an easy and obvious choice. So next is the disruptive insight, aka what needs to happen instead. So now that we've established what the gap in what they're doing currently is, we need to give them a disruptive insight that blows their mind and gives them that aha that plugs in as the solution. So using this weight loss example again, we would say that's why the answer to losing weight isn't about depleting your body, it's about fueling it. Feeding your body the foods that trick your brain into feeling satisfied faster, flooding your body with dopamine, aka happy hormones, and your body is now on a high, burning fat and feeling good. Now, the final piece of the puzzle is your answer to disruptive insight. So you're gonna see we've taken them through an entire process before that that's all about clarity, that doesn't talk about your solution, that doesn't try to overwhelm them with trying to make a decision yet. Instead, we're creating a clean slate, shifting a belief, and now setting the tone so that that we can jump in and share our answer to that disruptive insight. So using that weight loss example one last time, here would be the response. This is why our fueled food plan has worked for hundreds of clients. We identified the targeted foods that make your specific brain and body feel happy and fueled. So you're losing weight while eating the foods you love. It's almost like you're cheating. It's so easy. In just 5 steps, we've quite literally taken them through the clarity pre-selling process. See, the first 2 steps of anticipating and acknowledging are meeting our buyers in their momentum. And the last 3 steps focus on disruptive insights, because what we're doing is creating a pathway to clarity. Every step of the way is meeting your buyers where they're at. And instead of adding to the pile of information they already have, we're removing things out of their pathway so that we create a simple and easy yes. Because when people have only the right information and a clear understanding of why things work, your solution gets to plug in as the easy and obvious choice. You prove that the right solution works before you even mention your offer. By the time you introduce your solution, they're not deciding, they're realizing. Of course, this is exactly what I need. And this is the power of the Easy Yes method, because we've calculated and engineered an approach that focuses on creating the easiest pathway to a yes for your buyers and for you. And it breaks down to 3 core components. Number 1, winning the market. Because the reality is, if you're competing for attention, if you're competing for space in your clients' brains, then you are set up to lose. Instead, we create a pathway where you become the only and obvious solution for your buyers. We do this by creating your innovative gap methodology, your first in market approach to solving those unsolved gaps in the market where clients are now lining up to work with you, happy to pay 5 to 10 times more because you've got a solution that no one else does. The second step in the process is automating the decision process. We talked about it here today, but it's all about having a pre-selling approach that allows your buyers to sell themselves. We use what we call our Netflix effect to get our clients to be able to binge their way to an easy yes using a simple limited video series or audio series that gets your clients to binge through your client acquisition system like they're binging their favorite show on Netflix. This allows you to automate decisions so you're getting your leads to sell themselves. Now, the third and final piece is actually delivering on the promise you've made. Over the last 13 years, I've watched far too many businesses create a business built on quicksand, one that they can't actually deliver on the promises they're making, or their delivery process requires too much of them in order for it to be successful. Instead, we use our happy client machine to systemize your delivery system, ensuring that your clients get world-class results at scale without being fully dependent upon you. Think of this as your answer to creating raving fans who shout your names from the rooftop without you needing to always be on. So if you want to see how the easiest method can be applied inside of your business so that you can create a pathway that gets your leads to sell themselves within 48 hours, I want to invite you to book your call with me. Head on over to easyesleads.com/call to book your call now. But if you want to learn a little bit more about how our Easy Yes method works with the Netflix effect to get your leads to sell themselves, so head on over to thenetflixeffect.com to check it out now. And as always, we love and appreciate if you could take a quick minute to rate, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. But until next time, here's to keeping it real.